Last week, someone gave me footage of fighting the Necrotic Hybrid. This footage would be interesting for anyone to watch, but if you truly knew what you were looking at, it would absolutely blow your mind. Now let me start the video out paused because I want to point out a few things that the average player will not be able to identify. All serious Last Day on Earth players will immediately recognize that in this footage, he is going to the 5th floor of the bunker, which has never been seen before. Some of you veterans might remember the days when there was no lobby in Bunker Alpha and we could access bunker floors from the first and only elevator. But what almost all players probably won't know is that this graphic of the first aid kit was changed in update 1.5.4 when they first introduced the 2nd floor of the bunker on August 11th of 2017. So this footage is from a version of the game that is older than when we got access to the 2nd floor of the bunker. In fact, the implications of this footage is that everything you are about to see was finished within the first 2 or 3 months of the game coming out. So now we're watching him go through the 5th floor, which is clearly not finished yet since many of the enemies are not attacking him, though there is already loot in these chests, which that level of loot is in line with the original feel of the bunker. Another thing to note as he makes his way to the Necrotic Hybrid boss on the 5th floor is that VSSs are the best gun in the game back then, and they are extremely rare. So this player is either a hacker or one of the developers. But I guess that's kind of a given anyway since he has access to the 5th floor. So then when the boss fight begins, you'll notice the Necrotic Hybrid has 4 to 5 different types of skills, and it is an epic fight that seems pretty difficult for this guy to survive even with the best gear in the game. So this footage is amazing, but what I really want to talk about in this video are the implications of what this footage means. If Last Day on Earth had already finished a rough draft of all 5 floors of Bunker Alpha 3 months after the game was released, then why 2.5 years later are we still waiting for the Necrotic Hybrid boss? Now some of you, your answer for almost anything like this is that Kafir is greedy. But this clearly can't be because they are greedy or some motivation centered around money, because new updates with more content only gets them more players and more money, and they've clearly already paid for someone to develop it. Releasing content that they have already developed only benefits them, so the only explanation that I can think of as to why they would be holding on to something like this is that they have something bigger and better planned for the future. This would also explain why most of the seasons released to us are not permanent content, but just events that disappear when the season is over. For those of you who follow my channel, you know that I've had many similar theories, but I have never before been able to get footage that stacks the evidence so strongly in favor of my theories. I have found other things that are not footage that are probably equally as convincing. So if you have not seen my playlist on conspiracy theories about Kafir, then I strongly recommend checking that out. But this footage is overwhelmingly convincing to me because I cannot fathom another reason why this content would be withheld from us. If you can think of something, please put it in a comment below. But assuming that I am right, that means that Kafir probably has a ton of content that we have never seen that they are storing up for something bigger and better later on. Now this could be something that they release later on when they declare that the game is no longer in beta, but I have a theory that they are saving this content for a second Last Day on Earth. They might still call it Last Day on Earth, but my reason for this belief is that it is very normal for video game businesses right now. Developing games is really expensive, and creating new and improved versions of a game that you have already developed is one of the most efficient ways to make money in the gaming industry right now. Now the devs have never said anything about this, so please do not go to them out of frustration based on this game theory video. This is my opinion and my thoughts, but I thought I would still mention it because I thought some of you might want to prepare yourselves for this possible scenario. This is not uncommon in the gaming world, so you should keep it in the back of your mind as you spend your time and money on this game. If you are spending money on this game in such a way that you will only be satisfied with your purchase if Kafir comes through on what you think they have promised you, then those are bad spending habits. That is not a good way to spend money in almost every aspect of life. In fact, I would argue the same thing about your time. Even though I have spent hundreds of hours around this game, if it gets shut down, I'm gonna be fine because the amount of enjoyment that I got out of playing it was reward enough for the time spent. Now don't get me wrong, I'll be really sad and disappointed that the game never reached the potential that we all know it has, but my point is that I won't regret the time and money that I my spin on it. And my encouragement to you is to play and spend your money in such a way that you can say the same. But I definitely don't think that's going to happen because, like I said, I think Last Day on Earth has a lot of content like this that we have never seen. And I think that implies that there are bigger and better things waiting for us as we wait patiently for them to finish this huge project. This type of stuff gets me really excited, and I hope it gets you guys excited too, but I also hope it doesn't get your hopes up too high because at the end of the day, it's just some leaked footage in a game theory video. I'm not a dev, so I can only guess on what is going on behind the scenes. Well, that's it guys, hope that helps. I post a high quality video like this one every Friday. This one was actually pretty easy to make, but most of them aren't. So if you can't watch all of my videos, make sure to watch the ones I post on Fridays. Alright guys, I'll see you next time.